Well, we have more breaking news regarding this very story itself. Air India has now further hardened its stance. It has in fact filed a contempt petition against the striking pilots, because remember, the Delhi High Court had said the strike is illegal and they must return to work. However, the striking pilots have refused to do so, and now Air India has further hardened their stance, and this despite Ajit Singh also warning the pilots against continuing the strike. It seems the pilots just cannot be pacified. For more on this, we are now joined by Associate Editor Mayur Shekhar Jha. Well, Mayur, it seems that the Air India is just not in the mood to relent anymore, and this time they have even filed a contempt petition against the striking pilots.
Meghna, it's quite understandable from the Air India point of view. All the management is saying is that as far as the salary condition in Air India is concerned, it cannot be compared to the condition in Kingfisher, which is really bad. In terms of Air India, the management has said, management's standpoint is that the pilots could have been more mature in handling the situation from a consumer point of view also, and everyone knows that Air India is in a deep mess, and at this point in time, the pilots should have stood by the airline rather than taking this agitational route, which is causing hurt not only to consumers but also to the economy at large. So this is the standpoint of Air India management. And as far as this hardened stand of Air India management is concerned, that is precisely because of the fact that the IPG went on this strike without any notice. So that has made the relationship between the management and the IPG even that has even worsened the relationship. And then the Air India management thought that rather than getting blackmailed at this point in time, it's better to approach the court. So what's worse even then is that even after the court order, the IPG has not yielded in to the order which had categorically observed that this strike is illegal. So the only recourse that is left to the Air India management at this point in time is to go back to the court and say that this is like a violation of the court order and like a contempt of court. What will be the next recourse is something that we are still not very sure about. I was speaking to my sources in the ministry, and they said that considering the fact that it is illegal termination of services is something that can be considered, but at this point in time, as far as the ministry is concerned, they do want to give that leeway to the Air India pilots for a couple of days before going in to this action, which could be the extreme action. Meanwhile, for the next 3 days, they have stopped accepting any further bookings as an interim arrangement. So a final solution, a conclusive solution to the immediate crisis will only evolve over the next 2 or 3 days.
Well, Mayur, also it seems like everyone's just getting fed up of the pilots, because it's not just Air India. We also just heard Ajit Singh come out and say, what's the point in trying to speak to pilots? He wouldn't even listen to the court. Why will they listen to me?
Absolutely, Meghna. That's the whole point. In fact, why the Air India management decided to go to court and not to get into a dialogue with the Pilots Guild is the fact that is on the ground that the Air India management had already assured the Pilots Guild that in a due course of time the salaries will be released, and then even after these assurances coming in, the strike that was called by IPG was really uncalled for, and Air India management is of the opinion that IPG could have behaved in a more mature manner by giving notices to the Air India management rather than going in, rather than calling in sick, which caused unplanned delays, and many flights had to be cancelled. So they said that this act of the pilots has not only caused great damage to Air India but also great deal of inconvenience to the passengers at large. So this is this tip-off that has really worsened the relationship between the Air India management and the pilots. On the Kingfisher issue, right, Meghna, it's really a different issue, because on Kingfisher, we know that the promoters are short of funds, and the pilots there have every reason to worry, because the promoters, despite their assurances, have neither been able to mobilize capital from an external source, nor has the promoters themselves infused any further capital into the company. But as far as Air India is concerned, the salary of the pilots, Meghna, is backed by a sovereign guarantee. So the pilots really have no reason to create the kind of situation they did.